Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the But I'm Knitting podcast. This is episode 2, which I just said 2 seconds ago, and welcome to my corner of the crafting world in Toronto, in Canada. I have not really come up with a title, but I'm still working on it. Eventually, I'll come up with something better. I'm sure I will. So, you can find me on Ravelry as Mona Lee 81. You can find me on Instagram, where I'm most active, at Rome_Raven. So that's ROME_Raven. And my blog, which I actually did update last week, it was pretty much just show notes, but it's still updated, is butimknitting.blogger.ca. Well, I was very thrilled to see people actually watch my video last week because I was uncertain as to how it was going to go. And thank you to those who gave comments and feedbacks. And I'm trying a new location, quite clearly, as you can see from the back, because of the lighting issue. I don't really have many places around my house that I can do, and this is kind of in the back storeroom where all the stuff from winter are in here, so this is the best I could do for the view, but the lighting is coming towards me as opposed to me sitting against it, so you should be able to see everything better. Let's see, so for this week, I actually do have a finished product. I already gifted it, so I no longer have it. I'm waiting on a picture from my cousin because she loved it. But I did take a picture of it packaged up before I gave it to her because I had to put something on Instagram. So let's see if we can get you guys to see it. See? I hope the shine isn't too much on it. If not, then I'll try and put in a picture once I figure out how to do that. So I made her handmade socks in her size. She liked it. They fit her, she says, but I still haven't seen her wear them yet. I don't really have much else other than some squares on my blanket, but I'll show that afterwards. For my works in progress, I have my Castile socks, which are right here. And, hold on. Since I finished my cousin's socks, this is pretty much what I worked on since. So, these are the socks now. The yarn is from No Makers. Still love it in the Castile colorway, hence the reason I call them the Castile socks. This is where I was last time I showed it off, and this is how much I've done on both socks since. The cool thing about this is my own progress keeper that I made myself. I currently work at a big box craft store, and every section they put me in makes me want to start another craft. So this is something I could do that didn't involve wood and burning things, so this is probably the safest bet. It's currently living in my Creations by Uli bag, the one from for Firefly. It's got Jane on it. I've actually gotten a lot of people asking me about it when they see me pulling it out now. It's actually getting quite interesting. Then we start getting into a whole discussion about sci-fi and stuff like that. Okay. Next is my sock blankie. I did add on some squares this week, but it was really tiring. So, well, this week I was really tired. So I added on at least my 7 that I gave myself to do. So for most of these, I have no idea where I got them from, but from what I can, I will tell you. This one, I got the square from this one. This yarn came from Ramona Firehorse. She's actually the only other Ramona I actually know. So we did an exchange a few weeks back, and that's what this one is from. This one here, this is from one of my cousin's socks. I had the extra yarn here, so that's what I used that one for. This one, I don't quite remember. This could be from a pair of socks that I made. The yarn is from Springtree Road. The shop closed down quite some time ago. I can't remember what. I think it was called Gold. I can't remember, but I really did like this. It reminded me of a denim blue. This one, I don't remember where I got this yarn from. I had actually started knitting a shawl out of it. I got frustrated with the shawl, and it sat down in a lump mess for ages, and I finally unraveled half of it, and this is one of the squares that I saved from it. This one, I believe this one probably came from Ramona again. I like this one too. It's quite pretty and bright. This one was from a mini skein that I got a ways back. I don't remember where I got it from, but it's actually pretty cool. It reminds me of like tigers, like designs on tigers. So if you can see that, it's a lovely orange and brown and black and cream. And then this one, the hat I wore last week, this is one of the leftovers from it, and I finally decided to use it on my blanket. So that's all I've added to the blanket for this week. I don't know my total. I didn't add it up this week because I just did not have any time. But, so my next thing is, now that I only have one pair of socks and the needles, I need to find something new to knit. And I have options, and based on what I saw, let me try that sentence again. Based on what I saw from Instagram, somebody decided to cast on a bunch of socks at one time, and it kind of made me feel like, let me cast on a bunch of socks at one time. The only problem is I don't have enough needles to do as many as that person did, but I could perhaps cast on 3. The ones that I picked out, the ones that I picked out is this one. This one, I kicked them up yesterday. Like, I had like a little caking marathon. It was quite cute. This one is from Full and Vine, from her Footsie base, and the color for this one, I believe it's Pandora. So it's like a speckled cream with pinks and dark pink, light pink, gray. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like. I was determined this is going to be a pair of socks and not suddenly decide to make a shawl, because that is possible. Hold on, drop that. The other one that I pulled out was this one. Yeah, it's almost the right color, that it seems like. This one is from Knit Picks. It's called The Pearl on Hawthorn Fingering. I really like the colors. It reminds me of, like, I don't even know, like a really dark ocean blue, kind of navy, but not quite. And then it has like these, the tip of it when it was in the skein is like a pearl gray type of a color. Yeah, I really, really like it. Can you see? Yeah, that's the one for it. And the other one I decided to skein up, I actually showed it last week from one of the things that I've dyed. This is a self-striping skein of I Have No Idea. So on here, it is like the stripes are purple, and the other color is like what's it called? Hold on a second. Let me just get this set up so you guys can actually get to see it. Oh, I didn't even realize the timer had started again. So I wound it so you can actually get to see the colors on it. So if you can see there. So you have the speckle color right here. You got the blue and purple right here, and then the speckle color again. It's just the way that I happen to pull it out. The stripes are going to be of even length. So I was feeling a hankering to cast on some self-striping, and it was either this or Patton's Croy, and I decided to go with my yarn because I wanted to see what it would look like when it got knit up. The other skein that I wound, that kind of got me a little bit frustrated with my ball winder because it broke, because it kept getting stuck in the gears and grease was coming out. It was kind of gross. Hold on. So it's in 2 balls right now, but that's fine for what I'm using it for. It is this. This is like a perfect gray, like almost as good as my Chris Gray yarn that I had gotten from Tanis. That color is like absolutely perfect gray. But this one is from Cascade Yarns Heritage in the lovely and descriptive colorway of 5660. I call it gray because it's gray. It almost matches my shirt. Yeah, I really like that color. So my plan for this, when I saw it in the store, was to use these for heels, toes, and cuffs. I saw it when I went to, what was it? What store did I go to? Oh, I hate it when I forget things like this. I went to Knit-O-Matic in Toronto, close to Baptist Station for anybody who St. Clair West Station for anybody who's from Toronto. It's like a short walk from there. I was actually going in there to get another skein that was on a sale which I did pick up, but while I was looking for the one on sale, I saw this gray and I couldn't leave it behind. I don't usually knit in solids because it's boring if you just do it in one solid color, unless you're doing something with cables, and I haven't really felt the need to do anything too fancy with cables. But I saw this and I could not leave it behind. I think I'm gonna go back to the store and pick up more of these because the last skein I had of Cascade Heritage was a really beautiful teal blue, and when I was trying to ball it up, it kind of choked on itself. It just turned into a hot mess, and every time I sit down to undo it, it gets to be that big ball of mess and I just can't be bothered. And the only reason I still have it is because the color is just so pretty. But I've had that skein in a tangled mess for about the past 4 years, so that might be a sign that maybe I really don't want to work with it as much as I want, and I just want the color. We'll have to see. So I think looking around, that's pretty much it for knitting, other than some like really old projects that I still haven't pulled out like I thought I was going to within the past 2 weeks. So I guess we'll just go on to other stuff about me and my life. Um, so since the last time I put up an episode, which was last week, but surprisingly, I actually filmed that the week before, so it's really been 2 weeks for me since I podcasted. My cousin, she got her socks. They were a few days late, but she was okay with that. She had a big 21st birthday shindig, and it was awesome, and she looked amazing. The other thing that happened, because it's her birthday, and then a few days later it's her mother's birthday, and then a week and a day later it's my birthday. So that was last week, Thursday. I had my birthday. Hold on, there is something in my eye. Yeah, so my birthday was last week, close to the end of last week, and one of the ladies from my knitting circle on Tuesday got me an oversized Ferrero Rocher. It didn't even survive until the end of that night because I ate off, if you open it up, like the entire thing was filled up with a Ferrero Rocher, like the shell of it with the chocolate and the hazelnut, but it was hollow, and on the inside there were like a little 2-pack of Ferrero Rochers. The shell didn't last until the end of knitting circle, and by the next day I finished off the 2 chocolates on the inside. I've already determined I'm definitely keeping this container once I clear off the foil and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know, it may get reused again as a gift for somebody else when mini skeins would actually be perfect in these. But yeah, it was good. I didn't really do much for my birthday because everybody in my life actually keeps asking me what did I do, and my answer is always the same. I went to work at a really early morning. I went to school, and I went to my knitting circle, and I went home to sleep. That was my entire day. I didn't really do anything. And I didn't really get to see anybody from my house because of the hours that I kept, because I left my house from 5:30 in the morning to get to work. I went to school. I went straight from there to school, and then from there I went straight to my knitting circle, and I didn't get home until about 8:30, and I was exhausted, so I pretty much just went home and I went straight to sleep, other than saying, hi to my grandfather. That was pretty much it, and I just went straight to sleep. But the next morning when my mom saw me, she gave me a big hug, wished me a happy belated birthday. On Saturday, when I got to see the rest of my family, my brother, my oldest brother, he actually was I went up to him, I'm like, where's my happy birthday? I'm talking about him just, telling me, happy birthday, great sis, you've done well. He's like, I slid it underneath your door. I'm like, what are you talking about? By the time he told me this, we were already on our way to church in Hamilton. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, late last night I slid your card under the door. I'm like, you did? But by this time I'm an hour away. I can't go back and go check on it. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, thank you. I have no idea what's in this envelope, but the best gift that I got, well, I really like it. This necklace, if you can see it. It was a gift from my dad, my stepmother, my 2 youngest brothers, and my little sister. So necklaces are pretty much the only jewelry I really wear. So for this one, I actually switched out my old necklace, the gold one, the regular plain gold one that I usually wear, and I put this one on, and it held up pretty good today for my shift at work. That's what I was afraid of, that something might happen to it, but the chain actually feels sturdier than I thought it would, and it didn't feel like it was going to come off. So um, my mom, she's a professional baker and pastry chef. She has already promised me what I wanted for my cake. I'm kind of I don't know if I'd consider myself picky, but I'm not much one for lots of different types of cakes and that kind of stuff. Like, I'm very simple with my tastes. I like, my brother and I, we're like exactly the same. Chocolate cake, pound cake, marble cake. That sums up our cake preferences. But my mother likes to do things fancy. So we've gotten to many arguments about what kind of cake she should make for us for our birthday. But last year I had, she asked me exactly what I wanted, and I said I don't want a cake. She looked at me like, what? Well, what do you want? I said, I want a Jamaican sweet potato pudding with raisins in it. That has got to be one of the best dessert things that I've ever had. My grandmother used to make it all the time. And it's quite funny because um, my mother is constantly trying to try to make it at least as good as my grandmother, which is my father's mother. She died actually many years ago. But every time my mother makes it, she'll bring a piece for me. She'll bring a piece for my grandfather, who was her husband. And every time where they're like, take a piece. No, no, you didn't make it as good as Mags did, or you didn't make it as good as Grandma did. And she's like, no, mine is better. And I'm there like, no, no, you still don't got it, but try again. So this year I asked this for the same thing, and I know the sweet potatoes are sitting down there in the basement ready to go inside our second kitchen. So I'm waiting for her to get to it. It's one of those things that I don't know how to make. I don't bake, and everybody asks me why I don't. I tell them I can bake chicken and I can bake cookies, but most baked goods I don't really eat, so it's not really, in my mind, not really a required skill. And most people then ask me, well, what are you going to do when you have kids? I'm like, pack them up and take them to grandma's house. What's the problem? So, yeah, so that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Mm. Ooh, well, coming up, I don't know if actually, let me just check my calendar and see if any of this will happen before. I don't think so. So, coming up next week, yes, next week, there's somewhere I want to go. I went to the Toronto Knitters Guild meeting. I went for the first time a couple of months ago. I actually had a really good time. It was fun, and that's where I actually got to meet Ramona face to face. We kind of surprised each other there, and then coming up at the end of this month is a Knitters Frolic. There are some online friends that I have that are coming down for it, and I really want to go see them. So I'm still seeing how that's exactly going to work. But yeah, they're coming down, and I'm hoping I can get to meet up with them. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that is pretty much it. So, thank you for lasting until the end. It's, yeah, about, looking at the time, it's about the same amount. I probably have a little bit of cleanup to do. And don't mind the lack of editing in these videos because I haven't actually learned how to do that stuff yet. I tried doing it before, but I couldn't even get the stuff to go on the screen where I want to. And I guess, well, with practice, I'll learn how to do that. And it will be better. I'll maybe even put in some music or something like that. Who knows? So, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks. All right? Bye.